to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog. So in today's vlog I have got the next 4 days off of work. It's my birthday today, so I've decided to take a long weekend. So I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday off, and I thought I'd do a reading vlog for what I'm going to be reading over those next 4 days, and I thought I would do a reading vlog of new releases. So I've got a stack of new releases that I have that I really want to read, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a spinner wheel for those new releases to kind of plan what ones to read and which order to do them in. So I will just run through the choices that I've got, and then I'll spin the wheel so we can see what book I'm going to be reading first. I'm not quite sure how much I'm going to get read, but we're going to see what we get done. So the first one I have is The Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicarelli. This one I am really excited for. It is the sequel to The Crimson Moth, which I read at the end of last year and really enjoyed, and cannot wait for this sequel. So I would be quite happy if I got that one, even though it's on the longer side. Then we have The Forever Rule by Carrie Ann Ryan. This one is her new release. I think it's the first book in a new series, The Cage Family, and I am looking forward to all of these ones. I'm looking forward to, but Carrie Ann Ryan is an author that I really want to start reading more of. She's got a very extensive backlist, so I definitely want to read more of her books. Then we have Wild Side by Elsie Silver. This one only came out this week, and this was my pre-order. This is the W.H. Smith special edition, so it's got the green foiling. Really love this cover and very excited for this. I've heard a lot of people who've read this early say very good things about it. Then we have Once Smitten Twice Shy by Chloe Leese. Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. The Starlight Air by Amelie Howard. This one's very hard to show because of the shiny cover. I've not heard the greatest things about this one, so I'm a bit more hesitant with this one. Then we've got Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey and First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. So those are the choices that I've got, and I've put all of those titles into my spinner wheel. So I am just going to spin the wheel to see what one it tells me to read first. Okay, so let's see what that one is. Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey. So this is the one that I will be starting with. This is Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey. This is book 3 in her, I'm not quite sure the name of the series actually. Does it tell me? Oh, in the Big Shots series. I've not actually read the other books in this series, but I'm sure they'll be like interconnected standalone, so I'm sure it'll be fine to just dive into this one. I am interested in this one, but Tessa Bailey's books I have mixed reactions to, so we'll see how we get on with this one. But I couldn't resist this gorgeous sprayed edge edition from The Works. It's absolutely gorgeous with the little hockey sticks, so looking forward to getting into this one, and I will update you once I've read a bit more of it, or started it and got a bit further into it. And yeah, I will also hopefully be finishing my audiobook from Remember When over this weekend. This one is also a new release, so it does fall into this video. I mentioned it in my last reading vlog. I'm actually listening to the audiobook for this one. I'm about 70, I think it's 77% in last night, because I've been listening to kind of a little bit each day when I've just been like cooking my tea in the evening. I don't, as a typical rule, listen to a lot of audiobooks during the week because I'm at work, but I listen to more on the weekend, so we should hopefully get this one done as well. Really enjoying this one so far, and yeah, I will update you probably when I've finished this one. So that's what I'm starting out the vlog with, and as I say, I will update you once I've got more to say. I wanted to update you on my reading progress for the day, but before I did, I thought I'd share with you the 2 library books that I picked up today. So the first one is A Monsoon Rising by Thea Guanzon. This is book 2 in the Hurricanes War series. I read the first book earlier this year, I think it was. Or maybe at the end of last year. No, I think it was earlier this year. And I liked it. I think I gave that one 3 stars. There was a lot of, but I saw a lot of potential, so I did want to pick up the second book. So I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. and I'm not sure when I'll get to it, but that reservation came in today. And then another reservation that came in was Bloodguard by C.C. Robson. As you can tell, I'm really in a fantasy romance mood at the moment. I'm picking up a lot. That's what a lot of people I follow seem to be reading. So I'm getting a lot of recommendations from people that I follow, and I keep adding books to my TBR. And this one, I can't remember who I saw talking about it, but I saw someone talking about it. So I've added it to my TBR. The library had a copy. I ordered it in, and the reservation came in today. So those are the two books that I picked up whilst I went into town. And I thought I would update you on the books that I've read. So I have finally finished Remember When by Mary Balogh, and I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. So I think I've given like the basic premise in previous videos, but we're essentially following, what was her name? Clarissa and Matthew. They were childhood friends, and due to their difference in different stations in life, they couldn't really be together, and Clarissa ended up getting married to someone else, and they've lived their lives, and we now fast forward many years later when they are now nearing 50, and they are rekindling their friendship, which later develops into a romance. This one I really enjoyed. I loved the slow burn nature of this one. They did very much start out as friends, and it really did develop into a friends to lovers situation. We saw that friendship develop, and what I really liked about this one as well is Clarissa really discusses what it is like to be a older woman, and we don't see older characters in historical romance very often, if at all. I can't think of many that I've seen or read, but these characters are older, and she discusses kind of what her role in life is going to be. Obviously, from a historical romance point of view, initially as a young woman, her role was to get married, to make a good match, and to provide heirs for her husband, and then to obviously raise her family and run the household. She was a countess, so she obviously had a role to play. And now she is nearing 50, and her husband has passed away. Her children are all grown. They've all made matches, and she's really questioning what her role is in life. And I really like that. Something that we don't see in books very often, particularly, as I say, in historical romance. So really love that element. And their romance was great. I loved their friends to lovers romance. And there was a lot of questions raised. Her family initially were not sure about her obviously moving on and developing a new romance. But again, they do come to support her, and I really like that. I love the family aspect in this series. So definitely recommend this one. I listened to the audiobook, which is narrated by Rosalind Lander, who is one of my favourites. So highly recommend this one. As I say, I gave it a 4-star rating. Then I have made progress on Dreamgirl Drama by Tessa Bailey. I am, how many pages am I in? 164 pages in, so about halfway. And I'm not necessarily loving this one. So in this one we have Chloe and Sig. And Sig is a hockey player, and Chloe comes from quite a wealthy background, and they meet at a country club when Sig's car breaks down, and Chloe is very much giving off the typical rich girl energy, and they kind of have an instant connection, and they get on really well when they meet, and they hit things off quite quickly, and they do have like a slight moment on the first day that they meet. I think they do exchange a kiss, but they later find out that they are going to be future step siblings, and obviously that kind of puts a spanner in the works for them, because they obviously wanted to have a relationship, or have something a bit more, but because they find out that they're going to be future step siblings, they obviously can't do that. But they do form a sort of very close friendship, and the thing that I find frustrating is Chloe is, I'm not sure how old she's supposed to be, but she is very, very naive. Like, she doesn't know how to do laundry, that she doesn't have a concept of money, and Sig is basically paying for everything in her life when he himself doesn't have, like, he's not poor, but he doesn't have like lots and lots of money, and he's basically substituting this lifestyle that she really wants to live when he himself can't really necessarily afford that. And I don't know, I don't know where this romance is going to go, because I'm assuming that probably the parents aren't going to end up being together, but there is definitely that kind of, they definitely have chemistry and an attraction to each other, and that's kind of underrunning throughout the story, but they're not obviously acting on that because of this impending marriage between their parents. I assume the parents aren't going to end up getting married and then these characters are going to end up together, but I don't know. I'm not necessarily loving this one. Yeah, it's not my favourite thing, so I really hope the next book that I pick up, whatever that will be, I enjoy more than this. I think this is probably going to be a 3-star read, which is a shame because I've had back-to-back 3-star reads. I think the last 3 or 4 books, apart from the Mary Balog one, prior to that, the last 3 or 4 books have been 3-star reads, so I was hoping for something better, but we'll see how we end up rating this at the end. I will obviously carry on reading it. I don't know if I will get it all finished today, but if not today, then I should get it finished tomorrow, and I will update you once I have, probably once I finish this, I'll provide an update, because I don't think anything in this is going to happen that's going to be worthy of giving an update between now and the end, so I'll update you at the end when I've finished. I finished reading Dreamgirl Drama by Tessa Bailey, and this one I didn't really love. I ended up giving this one 2 stars. I thought that this one was really not great. So the premise of this story is we have Chloe and Sig who meet and have this kind of instant attraction to one another. But they find out after meeting that they are actually going to become step-siblings because their parents are getting married. And we then go on a very long journey of them fighting this attraction for one another. They can't, they want to be together, but they know that they can't be together because of the fact that they're going to be step-siblings. And I am going to give some spoilers for this book, so if you're not wanting to hear any spoilers for this book, I would probably skip ahead a bit. But I feel like in order to kind of say why I didn't like this one, I really need to go into spoilers. So, as I say, that was the basic premise for the book, and we find out at the very end of the book, towards the very end, that actually they're not going to be step-siblings. I thought it was because the parents weren't going to end up getting married, but it turns out that the guy that Sig always thought was his father isn't actually his father, and like that's a very convenient way for them obviously to then be together. But the fact is, the Harvey, who is the guy that Sig thought was his father, knew that he wasn't Sig's father and has known like the entire time, and he knew that Sig was attracted to Chloe, but he didn't say anything like the entire time, and it's just odd. Like, why would he not have said anything? And as I say, it's just a very convenient way for them to then be together. So in terms of actually being together, we only really see them as a proper couple for maybe like the last chapter or so, and there is an epilogue at the end of them being together. But I just didn't really love this one. The romance, I feel, was very weak. They did have an attraction for each other, but it was definitely very much a physical attraction, and I don't really feel like it developed past a physical attraction. They did spend a lot of time together as kind of friends, but they obviously throughout this whole thing they were thinking, you know, they really wanted to be together like physically, not necessarily, I feel like they didn't necessarily want to be in a relationship, but they wanted that physical aspect, and yeah, it just didn't work for me. It wasn't my favourite thing. Really disappointed in this one. I will probably still keep this one because I do love the sprayed edges, but this was a very disappointing read, and I'm hoping the next book that I get I'm going to enjoy more. So let's get the wheel. I've got it open here, so let's see what the next book is that I'm going to be reading. I really want a good book. Let's see what that one is. First time, I've spelled it, I think it's probably autocorrect, but it's First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, which is quite handy because that was at the top of the pile of books I had. So I am excited for this one. It will be my first B.K. Borison book. I have heard very good things about her writing and her books in general. I've heard mixed things about this particular one, so I'm hesitant, but I'm hopeful that I will enjoy it. And I will update you once I have read maybe about 50%. So I wanted to share a reading update with you for First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I'm just over 50% of the way through this one, and so far I am really enjoying this one. The writing is got a really addictive quality to it. I am struggling to put this one down. There is something about it that just makes me want to keep reading. Really fun and enjoyable book. So in this one we are following Aidan and Lucy, and Aidan is a radio show host for a radio show called Heartstrings, and the premise of the radio show is that callers call in to him and ask for romance advice. And then we have Lucy, who is a single mum, and her daughter, her 12-year-old daughter, calls into the radio show wanting advice for her mum, because her mum, Lucy, has basically never dated the entirety of her daughter's life, and her daughter thinks that she is lonely. And Lucy ends up talking on the show with Aidan and admits that she's obviously not dated, but she does really want romance. She wants to find that magic with someone, and the clip of her and Aidan talking goes viral, and they are an instant hit because Lucy is really honest about her feelings in terms of feeling lonely, feeling not good enough and things like that. And she is approached by the manager of the radio station to go on the show with Aidan and kind of co-host it in a way of trying to find love on the show. And that's where we're up to at the moment. So they are currently on the show together, and you can clearly see that Aidan has feelings for Lucy. He is reluctant for her to go on any dates with any of the people that are calling in, and he is very protective over her. She's had a couple of dates that haven't gone very well, and he is very protective and wants to look after her and wants her to find love, but he doesn't want her to find it with anyone else. He it's quite clear that he has really strong feelings for her. I really like this one. The side characters are really good as well. Lucy has quite a good family unit in terms of she gets on with her ex, Grayson, who is the father of her daughter. They co-parent together really well, and we get to see them have some really good family moments. And we also get to see Aidan's friend, I think he's called Jackson, I want to say. Could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure it's Jackson, and he's got quite a good friendship with Jackson, who is a weather reporter at the radio station. And I believe that, I probably should double check that Jackson is his name, but he is going to have his own book. That's going to be another one in this series, and that is going to follow Aidan's friend. And yeah, it is Jackson. I just wanted to double check because I was doubting myself then. And that one's going to follow Jackson, and then I think another weather reporter from another radio station. I'm, as I say, really enjoying this one, really flying through it. I don't know if I will get this one finished today, but I think definitely, if not today, then definitely I will get it done tomorrow. And yeah, really enjoying this one so far. I can see why a lot of people rave about B.K. Borison's writing, because this one is really hitting the spot for me, and it's really good to read something that I am enjoying, following on from that Tessa Bailey book that I really didn't enjoy. So I'm back with a final update on First Time Caller. I did actually finish this one today. I wasn't sure if I was going to finish it today or if I was going to leave it to Sunday, but I just couldn't put this one down. I ended up really loving this one. I gave this one 5 stars, and yeah, really loved this one. Would definitely recommend checking it out. I really like the relationship progression between didn't mean to knock the camera there, between Aidan and Lucy. He definitely fell first, I would say. And I just really liked seeing their relationship progress, and the side characters in here are really good. I would really like to see more of these characters in the future, and I believe there is going to be a second book following Jackson and I think her name was Delilah, the other woman from another radio station. We don't actually see her in this book, but she's mentioned. I would also really like to see Maggie have a book in the future. I think that would be really good. I don't know if there are plans for that, but I would love to see Maggie have a book. And I would really like to see more of Grayson and Mateo as well. They were really great as well, and I really liked the role that they played in Lucy's life. I liked that she had, you know, a positive relationship with her ex and that they co-parented. The only kind of maybe slight complaint that I would have about this book is Lucy is a single mum, and her daughter is very much the starting point of Aidan and Lucy's relationship. She's the one that calls into the radio station at the start, but then we don't really see much of her daughter throughout the book. And when it comes to single parent romances, I really like seeing the partner interact with the child. I like seeing that. I know not everyone does, but I do. So I would have liked to have seen that a bit more, because the snippets that we do see where Aidan interacts with, I think her name was Maya, were really great, and I would love to have seen more of that. That is my probably only complaint. Overall this was just fantastic, and definitely recommend this one if you are looking for a contemporary romance. And I'm really looking forward to now going back and reading B.K. Morrison's previous books, because I've not read her Love Light Farm series. I don't know if that's the name of the series, but I've not read that series at all. I do own the first book, but I have never actually read it, so that's really kind of, reading this and loving this has really spurred me to go back and revisit those books, so we'll definitely be picking those up in the future. And now we're going to pick my next book, so let's spin the wheel to see what we're reading next for Sunday. I'll probably start a little bit of it tonight, but most of it I'll be reading on Sunday. And that is Starlight Air by Amelie Howard, which is just down here on the floor. It's this one, the one with the really shiny cover that's really difficult to show. I don't know too much about this one, other than it is fantasy. I'm not even sure if it's adult or YA, because I know Amelie Howard I believe she has written some YA books, so I'm not sure where this falls. I've not heard the greatest things about this book, so I'm going into this hesitantly. Amelie Howard predominantly, or what I've read from her previously, has been historical romance. I think this might be her first fantasy book, but don't quote me on that. But it's the first fantasy book that I will have picked up from her, that's for sure. I'm interested to check this one out, and once I've read maybe like 50%, I will update you with some thoughts. I don't know anything about the plot of this one, so I am going into it blind. Happy Sunday. I thought I would provide you with an update for the Starlight Air. As you'll have seen in the previous clip, I've just had some amazing breakfast. It was crumpets with pesto and cheese on. It was amazing. I saw someone share it on TikTok, which I'll leave the link for in the description for the video that I saw. Please go and check it out. And it sounded amazing, so I thought I would try it. I didn't do the eggs. The video that I saw, the creator did runny boiled eggs with them, which I'm not a fan of, so I just had the crumpets and it was really nice. And I've just been reading this morning, and I did read a bit of this last night, but I've just been having a very slow morning, and as I say, just kind of chilling and whilst reading my book. And I have read probably about 50% of this book, and I am really enjoying it. So we have a main character called Soraya, who is invited to the palace by the king, queen and prince. And she believes she's going for a ball, but when she gets there, it quickly becomes clear that all these girls that have been selected are going to be kind of competing for the prince's hand in marriage. So to start with, she has to complete a riddle in order to get dinner the first night she's there. And those that don't get the riddle correct are taken away to the dungeons and basically starved for the night. And then the following day they have to compete in this fight, and there is this creature that has been starved and is basically set loose on all these girls that have been selected, and it's basically a fight to the death. The last 20 surviving girls are going to move on to the next round, and there's a little bit of magic going on. Soraya has magic that she's not aware of, and it quickly becomes apparent that she is maybe not who she thought she was, as is quite typical with I feel fantasy books. Usually the main characters, usually it's the female main character, finds out that they have magic, and that's where we are in this book. So far, there is also a brother, and she seems to have an attraction to the brother, and he is kind of, I wouldn't say plotting against the king and queen, but there is obviously some kind of underground movement, so to speak, that he seems to be part of. And yeah, so far really enjoying it. The writing is really fast paced. I'm keeping up with it really well. When I first started it, I was a bit concerned that the character read a little bit young, but this is definitely an adult book. It's not YA. But some of the language choice, particularly at the beginning, I thought didn't quite fit in with the fantastical world, felt a little bit too contemporary, like too of our time. I think at one point one of the characters used the phrase goals, as in they said like something positive about them, and they were like, oh, that's goals, or you know, something like that, which I felt was a bit like off-putting. But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying this. As I say, I think this is the author's first fantasy book, and I thought it was a standalone, but I believe it is going to be part of a series, which is very interesting. I'm intrigued to see how this one's going to end. There isn't actually a second book listed on Goodreads, and it's not actually tagged as being part of a series, which is why I thought it is a standalone, but I have seen some comments online saying that this is going to be part of a series, so I'm interested to see where this story goes, and I will update you when I finish it. I think there's a really good chance I can get this one finished today, and then we can pick another one. I'm just going to be doing this vlog until Monday, because I've got Monday off of work as well, so we'll see how much I can get read in that time, and as I say, I'll update you once I've read more. Just finished reading The Starlight Heir by Emily Howard, and this one I gave 3 stars to, well, 3.5 stars, but a 3-star on Goodreads, and I have mixed feelings about this one. So I would say the first half of this book was a 4-star read. I was really enjoying it. I was enjoying where the story was progressing, and I was liking the romance that we were seeing between Soraya and Roshan. But the last 50% of the book felt very rushed, and I felt that the story was going in a direction that I wasn't quite 100% sure what was happening. As I say, it felt very rushed, and things were happening very quickly, and I did find that I had to reread over certain parts, because I was thinking, how have we got from there to here? So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed by the second half of this one. There were some other things that I think did drag this one down for me. So I think I mentioned in my previous update that the characters used quite modern phrases and language, and I feel like in a fantasy book sometimes that can be quite jarring when they use things like that. There was talk at some point at the beginning of the book about the main characters liking to read romance, and they talked about book boyfriends and things like that. And in a contemporary romance, I feel that that is fine, but in a fantasy romance, I don't necessarily feel that that works. I mean, reading romance books is fine, but having that kind of contemporary modern language in there kind of felt a little bit off to me. As like a very minor thing that I would complain about, but it did, I feel, detract from the story. And as I say, the ending just felt very rushed for me. I believe there is going to be a sequel. In fact, it says at the end of this book, the story continues in Queen of the Night Sky. I am not necessarily sure if I feel that this one needs a sequel. I feel like where the story is ended is fairly good. But obviously I think I'm going to pick up the sequel. I'm still undecided. I have, as I say, very mixed feelings about this one. Definitely not my favourite book for this video, but obviously not my least favourite either. Just all around very mediocre in my opinion. I think there are things that could have been done better, but we'll see whether the second book is any better if I do decide to pick it up, because I'm not sure when the second book is going to come out. There's no kind of announcement that I've seen, and nothing mentioned on Goodreads, so I don't know how long we're going to have to wait for the next book. Potentially a year, and I'm not sure if in a year's time I'm going to want to pick up the sequel, because I'm not sure in a year's time that I'm going to remember the plot of this one, and I'm not sure whether it's one that I want to reread. So we'll have to see what we do with that one, whether I do pick up the sequel or not, but who knows. I'm going to pick my next book now. I don't know if I'm going to get much read this evening, but we'll see what one we get, and then I might read a little bit before bed, and then obviously I'll update you tomorrow. I'm really happy that we've got this one. So I have bought my books in here so I can pick up the stack, and we've got The Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. So this is definitely one that I don't think I'm going to read in a day, but I am really excited for this one. I've heard so many good things about this sequel, and I'm really excited for this one. This is one that I read the first book, The Crimson Moth, at the end of last year, and I was so excited for the sequel. I was really glad that I think I read The Crimson Moth in December time, and I was so glad that I only had a couple of months to wait for the sequel, because it ended on such a cliffhanger, and I can't wait to dive into this one. I have really high hopes, so I really hope I'm not disappointed. I ended up pre-ordering a copy of this because my library didn't end up getting the second book, or hasn't got the second book so far. They might get the second book in the future, but I really couldn't wait, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one, so really happy that this one has come up. So I will definitely be reading some of this tonight. I felt like, depending on what one I got, I'm not sure whether I was in the mood to necessarily read like another contemporary. I know I have just read a fantasy book, but this one I'm really excited for, so can't wait to dive into this one, and I will update you tomorrow once I've read a bit of this one, and we'll see how far we get. Only downside of this, if I don't finish this tomorrow on Monday, is I'm going to have to carry this on the bus on Tuesday, because I know that I'm not going to want to put it down. So it is Monday evening, and I have finished The Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli. I started this yesterday evening, but I read the majority of it today, and I didn't actually do like a midpoint update because I was just so engrossed in this story that I just couldn't put it down, and so I have read the majority of this one today, and I wanted to update you on this one. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave this one 5 stars. Now in terms of plot, I can't talk too much about the plot because this is a sequel. The first book is called The Crimson Moth. Well, it's called The Crimson Moth here in the UK, but in the US I think it's called The Heartless Hunter, and I think in the US it's just called Rebel Witch, whereas here in the UK it's called The Rebel Witch, just in case you're trying to search for it and can't find it. There are some slight differences with the titles, but the first book I really enjoyed. I read at the end of last year and really loved it. It is about a girl called Rune who is a witch, and in this world it is illegal to be a witch, and they are hunted down and executed if they are found to be a witch. And the way that the magic system works in this world is that they use their own blood to perform spells, and whenever they cast a spell or cut themselves to get the blood to do the spell, they are left with a silver scar on their skin, which is how they can be identified. So Rune doesn't use her own blood, she uses her period blood as a way to kind of help her keep disguised. And she is known as the Crimson Moth because she rescues other witches that have been captured, and she helps them get to freedom. And we also have Gideon Sharp, who is the witch hunter. He is very much, in the first book, very against witches and will stop at nothing to catch them and destroy them. And in the first book, they end up in a kind of relationship because Rune wants to kind of protect herself, and she gets close to Gideon as a way to kind of hide her identity, and Gideon thinks that she is the Crimson Moth, so he forms a relationship with her to try and prove that she is the Crimson Moth, and it goes from there. So I won't go into too much about what happens in this book because there's a lot that happens in the first book and it does end on a major cliffhanger, and this one kind of picks up straight from where the first one left off. And this second book is very action-packed. There is a lot going on in this book in a relatively short amount of time. This is just over 400 pages. I think it's 455 pages, so relatively short in terms of a fantasy book. This is a young adult series, but there is a lot going on here. There's a lot of death, there's a lot of fighting, and yeah, really enjoyed this one. I couldn't put it down. It was a really good read. I can't wait to see what else this author writes. This series is complete now. It is just the 2 books, which I really like. A shorter series, I like a duet or a trilogy. I don't like really long series because I get bored and forget about what's happened, and I don't always have time to reread books. So this was great. Really loved it. And that is all I'm going to be reading for this vlog. Because it is Monday evening, I'm not going to get another book finished this evening, and I'm back to work tomorrow, unfortunately. So I won't get as much time to read, but I will be reading books on my journey to work. So I thought I'd just do a quick roundup of the books that I did read for this weekend vlog. I did manage to read 4 books, which I'm really happy with. I will say that I read 4 books because I really didn't do a lot else. I mean, I did obviously stuff around the house, you know, all the usual boring stuff that you have to do, cleaning, cooking and all that sort of stuff. But I didn't really do a lot of anything else. I pretty much did read in my spare time, so that's why I read so much. So these are the 4 books that I read. So I read Dream Girl Drama by Tessa Bailey, which I didn't like. I gave 2 stars. First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, which I really enjoyed and gave 5 stars. The Starlight Heir by Emily Howard, which I gave 3 stars. Wasn't my favourite thing, but it was okay. And then The Rebel Witch by Kristen Cicerelli, which I gave 5 stars to. Really enjoyed this one. So really happy with this reading vlog and the books that I got finished. These are obviously all new releases, so I'm really glad to have ticked off some new releases. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any recommendations for any books similar to any of the ones I liked in this video, then please do let me know, and I will see you guys in my next one.